No, I don't want to talk about how I feel uncomfortable.
Hi, well, this is host Eric, and I'm here with famous person slash host Courtney, whatever she wants to call herself. The thing is, I have been talking with Courtney for days, and she has been totally comfortable, and we've been having good conversations, and she's been totally relaxed. And here she is talking in this room, one on one, knowing that we're being recorded for the purpose of a video going up, and her behavior is totally different. She's aware of how she looks on camera the whole time. She's messing around with her eyes, like going like this and doing shit like this. And the reason is because she's self conscious, right? But look, Courtney, listen. First of all, I want to talk about it because I think this is a telling media moment and like a purposeful moment for lots of people. Like I mean, to be blunt about it, there are lots of people who would say, my goodness, why would that person feel uncomfortable in front of a camera? I wish I had as many obvious assets as she does for that purpose. Now, I'm saying this as somebody who I have a daughter who's very
Not
physically
that that's
attractive.
contradicted my whole life.
I have a daughter who's very physically attractive, and so I understand the challenge that beautiful females face, which is that it's difficult to move through the world without that being the center of the topic of discussion in some way or another, right? It's difficult for you to move through the world without that coming up.
Yes.
So I
But
bring it.
I don't attach my identity to that though.
That's what makes it difficult for you, obviously.
I don't attach, and I'm very bad at reading social cues. And so I think I can be easily manipulated maybe, so I have to be like kind of aware. I don't know. Yeah, I mean it's kind of a thing.
Well, it's why I
Like
make it above board, right? It's because I want to be able to talk honestly with you about it in a way that you feel is comfortable and productive, right? So I know that it's a challenge on multiple levels to enter into this kind of a circumstance, no matter who you are, where you're not necessarily accustomed to being filmed, not necessarily accustomed to making videos. And I suggested the other day that you make one because I think it will get a lot of views. And one of the reasons is because obviously you're very physically attractive. That matters somewhat. But the other reason is because you're an INTP. And so the thing is, you have analysis to give. And the topic that I wanted you to talk about is one that's going to be it's going to be maximized views by a million times over, which is if you do a video the same title as Zachary did, which is how to know if an INTP likes you, it'll get shitloads of views. It would be hugely nice of you for me, from my perspective, for you to do it. But
well, I appreciate your chat and all the good dialectic in the chat, so I will do that for you.
thank you. That's
But
very kind of you.
not for any kind of reason that I want this kind of attention.
Okay,
So I
that's
don't.
fine. The thing is, I understand as an introvert that I like to think I understand INTPs pretty well. I think there's a good reason to want to test this to see how you get reaction, what kind of reaction you get, and how people respond to you. You know, and yet you understand there's a lot
I
of
might
risk
ask you
involved.
in like the next few months to take it down,
Okay,
but
I'll respect that. Sure.
maybe not though.
I mean, here's the thing. Also, with Zachary's videos, they still get lots of comments. Those commenters generally don't get responses. I don't tend to respond to them because they want to talk to Zachary. You know, so that's the thing is, it's low risk. You know that if you do feel uncomfortable with it at some point, I will gladly take it down. I am not interested in making anybody have something up there that they don't like. And
Yeah,
I bet you have information to give because it is a difficult question to answer. How to know if an INTP is romantically interested in you because, like you said about the FE thing, you're not very good at reading social cues, and you probably don't feel particularly competent at delivering social cues to others so that they know what you want. And that's why we're known as the infantile type romantically, that we don't really feel comfortable dictating the action. We're not necessarily sure what we want ourselves in that area, and we're really looking for somebody to come and say, okay, for me, I'm looking for like an ISFJ woman to come and say, I will be your mother. And here I am, and now you have.
we want a very direct communication. Like, I'm not good at the fluffy shit.
Right.
You know, if somebody wants to let a rational type know that they want to let them know that they like you, I think the easiest way is to just come out and say it.
Okay, well, that's what Zachary
That's
said, but
like, I want this woman to come to me and say this. Like, well, it's
right.
obviously a much more complex process than that.
But what I'm saying is the more difficult question to answer is not to know how to know what to do if you like an INTP. That's the advice you gave. If you like an INTP, what should you do? Well, go ahead and tell him or her. What I'm saying is, let's say you want to know if an INTP likes you, and they're not being forthcoming about their feelings because they don't know what they are themselves, probably.
There's been a couple of instances where I really had this interest in somebody and they had no idea. But if they had known, then it might have started some kind of relationship a lot sooner. And the way you can tell if an INTP likes you, from my perspective anyways, is if we seek you out specifically as an individual, seek you out to talk to you about ideas.
Okay,
or,
but you're gonna talk about ideas with a lot more people in life than you're going to end up in romantic relationships with.
Well, it's kind of different though. Like, if we, that's true. I love talking about ideas with everybody. But if we seek you out instead of, continually seek you out to talk to you about ideas and have conversations with you one-on-one, I think that's an initial indication.
Okay. I want to turn off my camera and have you make a video, but I want to give you a little bit more of a roadmap to go over so that you feel more comfortable with what you're doing, okay? Because I am actually a speech coach, so you know, it's relevant here. Compton, okay. She's doing her laps thing again.
Huh.
There you go. In or out? In or out? Do you even think about the imposition you place upon me? Huh? Do you even consider whether you want to make me get up out of the chair? I don't think you even think about it.
I have some really funny stories about being an INTP girl. Like, I don't know anything about brand names, and so I get made fun of a lot by some people for wearing, like, one time I wore a pair of Skechers, and they were making fun of me, and I had, like, no idea why. But that's kind of an off-brand or something.
Okay, I'm writing down some ideas here in the chat. So I'm going to put that as one of the ideas. INTP girl stories, disinterest in girl stuff.
I don't like to feel like I view myself as some attractive female. It makes me feel egoic and self-promoting.
Okay, well then talk about that and reference this conversation and say that point out the fact that, if you want me to sort of like be in the have my camera on, ask you the question, then turn my camera off. It will allow you to talk about this issue without presenting yourself as attractive, right? So you don't have to then say, I'm very hot, and this is the problems that I have as attractive female. If I ask you the question, it liberates you to talk about it. I mean, as we're talking about it right now.
That sounds nasty. I don't identify with, I do to an extent. Like, I know that people find me attractive, but I don't really, utilize that much.
Okay, so you think that when it's being discussed, then it's being presumed that you do utilize it. And I think that's something worth pointing out as something that's annoying, and fairly so.
I think I'm stupid for not utilizing it, but I really just don't identify with it. Like, it's not really that big of a part of who I am. You know what I mean? Like,
The quote, if I looked like you, quote unquote, right? Do you get that?
you know what?
In other words, well, look, here's some things I put down there as ideas to talk about regarding this. So I think this is very interesting. Your experience. I mean, we're talking about it right now, but let's do a video where you're prepped out here. So we'll talk about your
I mean,
experience
it's
as
really
a.
hard for me to get like my identity across that barrier because I mean, I can make myself look pretty. I'm not just like your stereotypical like super introvert, like, whatever. But I feel like the projection of that makes people have a certain kind of like bias, cognitive bias, or like they categorize me very easily into a stereotype. And so like it's a big problem for me to kind of get my true identity across to people because
Okay,
for
stop. I
one,
want to start this video over now. I want you to look at the chat real quick. You're gonna see those are the things we're gonna talk about, and
chat.
in the chat,
What chat?
it's the CHAT
Oh,
chat. It's the chattiest part of the chat.
I don't want to talk about my looks.
Okay, then. Oh, I mean, you
Okay,
said.
I mean that just sounds so like egotistical. Like I'm a pretty INTP and I'm pretty and so smart and I do
I
fitness.
know it does, but for Christ's fucking sakes, it's true. So what are you gonna do about it?
Well, I don't want that. I just feel sickening about it. That sounds so awful.
I mean, look. The reality is, I've lived with an attractive female as my daughter, and I understand that her experience of life has certain advantages and has certain disadvantages as well. This is something I don't think a lot of people understand. Is that there's a lot of presumption. You talk about a presumption of a need to utilize it, that you are criticized for failing to use your physical attractiveness to accomplish things. You're
Oh yeah,
also
that's
criticized, you're
fair.
probably also assumed to be using it. You're also assumed to
Go
be
get
using it
a rich
concurrently.
guy.
What?
You should just you should just go find yourself a rich guy. You're pretty enough.
Well, so
That
on
was my
the
husband tell me that.
that's one half of it. Then the other half is probably people judging you, assuming that do
Fit the stereotypical categories associated, yeah.
right.
When actually my life is very much minimize work, not minimize work. I want to have a job where I can utilize my time efficiently to like study more ideas. I read constantly, learning things. I like love to learn. I
You
love to
read and learn
philosophize.
by internet rabbit holes.
I read through the internet, yeah. Like I love meeting people who want to talk about just ideas. It's like how I experience life. I can't even really
I agree with
relate
you. I mean,
that well.
I understand the
Yeah.
experience for sure because
Yeah, and you go the same way.
yeah, it's important. I mean, the thing is, at the end of the day, we're going to spend a lot of our lives engaging with other people one way or the other. And if we're
Well,
talking to somebody, we're talking about something. The question is, are we talking about something that one can can sink one's claws into or not? If we're talking about how fun it was that time we went to Disneyland, there's nowhere to go with it. There's nothing to do with it. It's not interesting until we move away from the actual topic and start getting into analysis about what it means. That's the problem with interacting a lot of the time with
yeah.
individuals in the world.
Well, I don't even really need people that bad.
How often do you have conversations that you find tedious?
Not very often because I don't get involved in them. But I mean, at work, when I was at work, a lot of the times the girls that were my friends would want to start talking about topics, and I very much have to kind of force myself to be friendly enough to listen.
If
And
I wanted to talk to you right now about the Real Housewives of Orange County,
I enjoy talking to people, and I enjoy being friendly, but internally I can feel that like it's exhausting me. You know what I mean? Not that I don't care about people and their topics of interest, and they're just wanting to relate to you on like a different level. But after too much, they started telling me I was a loner because I would just, after I had built enough relationship with my coworkers that they knew that I didn't dislike them, and that they knew that I was a nice person so that I didn't get any kind of like weird social bullshit from it, you know, I kind of like went off and I would just sit alone, like do
right?
my own thing, read, and they would kind of try to pull me back in. And occasionally, you just learn to balance it. Like occasionally, I would have to go back in to the group and just make sure that I keep those things peaceful so that
So is it
people
more
don't start.
important for you to know that you have available those social interactions than it is to actually experience those social interactions? But you want to maintain them to make sure they're there when you do need them?
I maintain them because they're beneficial in a working environment to make sure that you don't have any kind of misconception. Because if you kind of spend a lot of time alone, people can misconceive all kinds of things. They might think that you don't like them, or they might think that you're an asshole, or they might think you're stuck up or something.
Right. So are all your relationships utilitarian in that fashion? Or all the justifications for a relationship? Well, of course I'm nice, Eric, because it's useful to be nice. Do we
No,
have?
I'm just talking about. No, I build better relationships, much more better relationships with NT types for sure. All my friends are NT types. The ones that are, I consider my true close friends. Otherwise, things are kind of more. I mean, things are very much more on like a base level. I understand the value of kindness and friendship, but
Right.
I don't build strong relationships with people other than people who want to talk about ideas and abstract concepts, which most people in the world don't. And so you kind of learn to function in that world environment.
It can be difficult. It sounds to me like you're.
If I completely engaged in that all the time, I would be exhausted.
Well, it sounds to me
I
like
would,
you do a better job of taking the path of least resistance. You know, I have a bad habit of wanting to, I guess, call people out on that shit. Like, like if I find something banal, I'm gonna do one of two things. If it's super banal, at a certain point, my first thing I'm gonna do is try to remove myself from the situation. But if I'm compelled to stay there, like I used to be when I was married, then at a certain point, I'm gonna start saying, "Oh my God, this is so painfully banal," or something like that.
kind of a dial for you.
What's that?
What do you mean by what type of conversation? It's banal to you.
Banal. It's well, I mean, conversations like today I went to, like I used to like the sort of things that sometimes I would experience at my ex-wife's house at parties or something, where I'd be at a certain table and I just, depending on who all was in attendance, there could be a lot of talk about about work issues that were dull, like maybe how this supervisor done had taken this shift and had moved it to this other shift, and they weren't happy about it, and they think that
Yeah.
supervisor was a dick, and he's always doing shit like that without telling people about how they're changing the schedule, and then he changes it. But I was expecting to work on it. It's like, okay, well, that's fine. I get, but see, the thing is, at the end of the story, there's not a point to it, right? There's nowhere to go with it. It's not a question. It's not referencing any sort of model or anything. It's just
Yeah.
yeah, that kind of stuff. And when conversation involves the exchanging of stories like that between people, that or oh, I'm really excited. I'm going to Disneyland this weekend for Janessa's birthday. Oh, really? How old is she? 5? Oh my gosh, it's going to be so much fun. I know. It's been months since I've been there. Really? Do you think has Janessa been there before? Oh yeah, we've been a few times now, but you know, Janessa's getting now to the age where she can really enjoy it. I know you're going to take lots of pictures, aren't you? Of course. I'll be looking on Facebook. Cool. You know, we're actually going to go this upcoming weekend to wine country and maybe do a little wine tasting. Oh my gosh, that'll be so fun. I
On a certain scale, yeah, but you want to be there for your friends emotionally so that you kind of endure.
no, I
You
know.
know,
I'm not saying
to
I.
be a nice person, you learn to endure and interact on a level where you know what to say and you know what's expected, so you just do it and get through it, and then you still maintain that cordiality or
Yeah,
cordial.
see,
Yeah.
the thing is, it wasn't my friends that I was having these issues with. It would be my ex-wife's friends, and if I were dragged someplace, and I had been informed in no uncertain terms that, like the wedding, right? This famous wedding where I was there all day long, and um, everybody was drinking. It was a drinking wedding, and I don't drink alcohol, so, uh, and then it's like that conversation was going on. But then a large part of the conversation was even like why I like this kind of alcohol. Like I really like Jack and Coke. Really? Yeah, I had some fun times with Jack and Coke back. It's like, oh my god. Now you want to talk about banal conversation. Telling stories about that other time I was drunk, well, drunk now. That's banal conversation. It was so crazy when we were so drunk the other night. It's extraordinarily
It's
banal.
so weird saying that, but yeah, that's how it is. It's like, oh God, how do I escape this? Especially if it's gone on for too long. You're just like, please, like, I need to get out of this situation.
Right. So, I mean,
That's like that sounds so rude.
what?
It just
Me?
sounds rude to say that. Like it makes you sound like as if you just hate people or something, you know?
Well, I mean, the thing is, I was being compelled to stay at this thing for a lot longer than I wanted to. A lot longer. By the end of the day, when I was being dragged into doing these group photos and being told how to stand and how to smile and it's like I was being policed every step of the way for meeting the ex-wife standards for how I ought to engage socially with her friends who, I mean, at a certain point at the end of the day, I just started lashing out a little bit. But keep in mind, it's not. I was on good behavior all day long. I engaged in small talk with these people plenty. When I've been there when I've been involved in this fucking wedding day for like 10 hours already, and now it's time to go take pictures, and I better be patient. Don't Eric, be patient, okay? We've got pictures to take. I need you to be patient. Well, what the fuck have I been being?
That kind of situation for that long would literally give me an anxiety attack.
All right, so I mean, I say I get a little rude at that wedding. Yeah, I get a little bit rude
But you're
again.
very extroverted, so
I mean, and I didn't even say it to them. I didn't say, "Oh my God, this is so banal" to you, to the people who were being banal. I said it to Candace, and it was maybe within earshot. It was kind of within earshot of them. Maybe they heard me, but I didn't say it to them. You know.
I mean, I just avoid situations like that. I only really like to hang out with people who don't function that way.
Right. Well, now I'm not. I no longer have this other half that's compelling me to go and do things I don't want to do and be things I don't want to be, or be things that she wants me to be, which is what it really was. She's very into presenting in a very specific fashion, and that meant that I needed to present in a certain fashion that she wanted her husband to present as, and I'm generally pretty socially okay, but socially okay wasn't good enough. She wanted socially risk free, and that was never going to happen with me.
Yeah.
I've been known to take a few social risks here and there.
Right.
So, this conversation has been interesting, and that brings this sub episode to a close. Thanks for watching.